Welcome back to the Gospel Talk channel. Thank you for stopping by. I just want to quickly say thank you to all those who continue to share on Facebook, Snapchat, and for all those who just keep watching and telling people about the channel. We do appreciate it. We're trying to spread the gospel. It cannot be done without you who are supporting, so I thank you. Today's video is 6 reasons why we should trust God. And if you look at the world right now, there's no better time to trust God than now. With the virus going around and, the economy kind of dropping and we have a lot of things. So right now is the best time to trust God. So this video gives us 6 reasons why we should trust God, even though we know that there are about 1 billion reasons why we should trust Him. But these are just 6 reasons why we should trust God. All right, our first reason we are going to trust God is because He knows you by name. The verse linked with this reason is Isaiah 43:1, and we're going to be looking at the end part. So it reads, "Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine." So the first reason why we should trust God is simply because He knows you by name. Now let's flip the script. Do you know Him by name? Following God is a relationship. It's a two-way thing. So with Him knowing you by name, that's Him doing His part of the relationship. Now, do you know Him by name? It goes 2 ways. Now, many of us know of God, but we don't know God. So that's kind of a stereotype. Oh, yeah, I know God. He sent His only Son. He's powerful. There's one, blah, 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 blah. But do you know God personally? It says He knows you by name. I have called you by your name. You are mine. Now, one thing about God is that He will not force you. So you can either choose to follow God and let Him lead your life, or you can reject Him, and when judgment day comes, you will not make it into the gates of heaven. When I see this point, He knows you by name, I think of Tasha Cobbs, the song by Tasha Cobbs, "You Know My Name." That's a great song for anybody who needs some good music. Listen to that song by Tasha Cobbs, "You Know My Name." So He knows you by name. It's a relationship. So main point is, have a relationship with God, a close one. Reason number 2 why we should trust God is because He will fight for you. Exodus 14:14 reads, "The Lord will fight for you, and you must be quiet." This verse is very simple, but yet hard to do. Let's take a moment to think. How many of us are fighting battles that we know we cannot win? Case in point. I'm just giving a broad example, not talking about anybody. Cancer. A lot of us stress over cancer when a loved one gets cancer or when we get cancer. And we're sitting there, we're beating ourselves up, we're beating up the doctors, we're beating up everything in sight. Instead of giving our problems to the Lord, it says the Lord will fight for you and you must be quiet. Another good thing about letting the Lord fight for you is that He hasn't lost any battles. He crushes the head of Satan every day. So, will you choose to be victorious and let the Lord fight for you, or will you keep fighting your own battles and get as far as you can? So let the Lord fight for you. He wants to fight for you. Exodus 14:14. Reason number 3 to trust God. He thinks about you. Psalms 139:17 reads, "God, how precious your thoughts are to me. How vast their sum is." That verse is very simple. God is always thinking of you, always. And you don't take my word for it. Look, in verse 18 in the same chapter it says, "If I counted them, they would outnumber the grain of the sea. When I wake up, I am with you still." So God thinks of you endlessly. So, case in point, if God had a penny for every time He thought about you, He'd have 1 penny, because you're always on His mind. It says, "How precious your thoughts are to me, how vast their sum is." Now, let's flip the script again. How much do we think of God? The Bible tells us right here that He's always thinking of us, but do we think of Him? How much better would the world be if everybody always thought of God and what He would do before we reacted? So, another thing about God, He's always thinking of you and He's always in contact with you, but He will not force you. He loves you so much that He gives you what you want. So if you want to reject Him, He will let you reject Him. But if you want to bow down and say, God, you have control of my life, you are in control, then he will take control. So, are we thinking of God all the time and thinking of who he is and what he is, or are we thinking of what we can do and how we can be in control of our own life? Reason number 4 to trust God Almighty is he has plans for you. Jeremiah 29:11 reads, I know the plans I have in mind for you, declares the Lord. They are plans for peace, not disaster, to give you a future filled with hope. Now, let's look at the context of the I. There are a lot of I's. I know the plans I have in mind for you, declares the Lord. So, who is the I? The Lord is the I. He's saying, this is the Lord speaking. I know the plans I have in mind for you, declares the Lord. So, you have two options. Once again, God will not force you to do anything you want. He gives you the choice. So, will you follow God's plans that are for peace and not disaster, or will you follow your plans that lead down the broad road to death and destruction? A wise man once said, no one is hopeless whose hope is in Jesus. What did it say? Last part of the verse. He has a plan to give you a future filled with hope. So, the plans he has for you are for peace, not disaster. So, will you choose to follow the Lord's plan, or will you choose to follow your own? Reason number 5 to trust God is he is your refuge. Psalm 62 verse 6 through 7 reads, only God is my rock, my salvation, my stronghold. I will not be shaken. My deliverance and glory depend on God. God is my strong rock, my refuge is in God. That verse brags a lot about God, just what he is and what he can do. First of all, let's understand what is a refuge. A refuge is a protection from danger or distress. Who better else to go to than your Father in heaven when needing protection? Now, don't get me wrong. You could say, well, my gun protects me. My dog protects me. My mom or dad protects me. But God should be your rock and your salvation. The verse says, only God is my rock and my salvation. Only God. So God, one, only one. So your only refuge should be God. So, with that being said, when trouble comes, do not stress. Don't worry. I just started a devotion myself to stop worrying. Cast all your problems to God, and he will do the rest. Now, with that being said, you still have to meet God halfway. That goes back to that third point where he thinks about you. It's a two-way relationship. You have to choose, and that's where that faith and works come in. So, God is your refuge, and your deliverance depend on God. So, make God your strong rock. In this time, we need God more than ever. I think the world knows that, but nobody's taking it serious. So right now, if God is not your refuge and your protection, right now, then you are in trouble. So please make God your refuge and only God. All right, our last and final point, our 6th point for why we should trust God is because he is always with you. Matthew 28:20 reads, and remember, I am with you always at the end of the age. So that's comfort right there. One, you are never alone. No matter where you are or who you're with, know that God is with you and that he will never leave your side. In this time we're in right now, believe it or not, God is still with you and he's not going to leave your side. Also, don't fear, because once again, he's with you. Fear is not from God, okay? That's why we need to trust in God. 6 reasons why we should trust in God. Right now, believe it or not, Christians are scared. Pastors are scared. People who don't know of God are scared. We're all scared because we don't know what this virus holds or what it has on the future. But one thing we can be assured is that God is with us and God is in control. Remember that. Even though the world might look like it's chaotic and God doesn't know what he's doing, I promise you, God is in control. Also, Joshua chapter 1, verse 9 reads, I've commanded you to be brave and strong, haven't I? Don't be alarmed or terrified, because the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Just like Matthew 28:20 says. So right now in this pandemic, don't be scared. God says, don't be alarmed or terrified, because the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Now, with that being said, don't go be a crazy person and throw a birthday party. Be cautious, but still know that God is in control, and you need to trust God. Okay, let's recap our 6 points. Number 1, God knows you by name. Number 2, He will fight for you. Number 3, He thinks about you. Number 4, He has plans for you. Number 5, He is your refuge. And number 6, God is always with you. Once again, I repeat, in this time that the world is in with the coronavirus and a lot of deaths, I just want to remind you, God is in control. Believe it or not, this is part of God's plan. And something that we don't know about God is that sometimes, case in point, this is an example for me. One time I wanted to go to a party, okay? I didn't know if I should go or not, so I'm just like, God, send me a sign if I should go to this party or not. Nobody called, nobody asked me if I was going, nobody offered me a ride, so I was like, hey, I guess God didn't want me to go. Inside, yes, I was upset. I was like, man, I really wanted to go to that party. Turns out that party had shots fired at it. So sometimes, and that's something cool about God, His understanding is far beyond ours. So when He does stuff, we'll be like, man, what the heck is God doing? Seriously. But then, a month from now, we'll be like, man, God had me right there. So please, trust in God alone. God is in control of this world. So once again, He knows you by name. He will fight for you. He thinks about you. He has plans for you. He is your refuge, and He is always with you. Once again, thank you all for the support on the channel. Thank you for those who subscribe, for those who keep watching, who keep sharing on Facebook. Thanks to the awesome people that I get to work to, who help me with these videos. Let's close with prayer, and then we'll end. Father God, I come to you right now, once again, just thanking you for who you are. I know that in this time that the world is in, we are all coming to you asking for things. But we at the channel, we just want to thank you. Thank you for this channel, and thank you for the people that is touching. Continue to be with me and the viewer as we walk and follow you. Thank you for sending your Son to die. Just let the earth remain calm, and let us trust you more than ever. And after this is over, Father, I hope that we can all just look back on this and say, how great is our God. Thank you for keeping me and all those around me safe, and continue to be with the viewer and keep them safe. In your name I pray, amen. Thank you for stopping by the Gospel Talk channel. We'll see you in the next video.